The Immortal Champ, the unthinkable discovery in Joe Frazier's tomb. Picture a moment so extraordinary it stops the world in its tracks. A revelation that defies science, rewrites history, and touches the heart of humanity. 14 years after the passing of Smokin' Joe Frazier, the heavyweight boxing legend whose fists humbled giants, his tomb was opened for a routine scientific study. What researchers uncovered was beyond comprehension. A body preserved as if death had been persuaded to wait, a hidden cache of letters revealing the soul of a warrior, and a mystery that has sparked wonder, debate, and whispers of the divine. From the quiet earth of a Philadelphia cemetery, Joe Frazier has reached out to remind us that some legacies are eternal, some stories never end, and some truths defy explanation. The story began in the spring of 2025 under the gray skies of Philadelphia, a city that had long claimed Joe Frazier as its own. A team of scientists funded by the International Sports Medicine Foundation had secured a rare and solemn permission from the Frazier family to exhume the body of the former heavyweight champion who died in 2011 from liver cancer. The purpose was clinical, to study the long-term effects of boxing's brutal punishment on the human body, particularly the brain and nervous system. Frazier, who had traded blows with the likes of Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, and Joe Bugner, was a natural choice. His career was a monument to grit and glory, but also a stark reminder of the physical toll exacted by the sweet science. The exhumation was conducted with meticulous care at a small cemetery on the outskirts of Philadelphia, where Frazier had been laid to rest in a modest yet dignified plot. A handful of onlookers gathered, family members, including Frazier's daughter Jackie Frazier-Lyde, a few local boxing fans, and the scientific team led by Dr. Leonard Matthews, a pathologist with decades of experience in post-mortem research. The air was heavy with respect and anticipation, but no one expected anything beyond the ordinary. 14 years underground, even with standard embalming, would leave little more than bones and fragments. The coffin, a sturdy oak box with a simple satin lining, was carefully unearthed and transported to a nearby laboratory for analysis. When the lid was lifted, the room froze. Joe Frazier's body was not a decayed relic, nor a skeletal shadow of the man who once ruled the ring. It was astonishingly, impossibly preserved. Muscle tissue, though shrunken, retained its fibrous structure. Traces of skin, pale and delicate, still clung to his frame. His facial features, the high cheekbones, the resolute jaw that had absorbed Ali's fiercest punches, were eerily recognizable. Dr. Matthews, a man accustomed to the grim realities of decomposition, was visibly shaken. "This isn't just unusual," he said, his voice trembling. "It's unprecedented. After 14 years without extreme preservation methods, this level of preservation is scientifically inexplicable." Initial tests confirmed that no extraordinary embalming techniques had been used at the time of Frazier's burial. The funeral home records, meticulously reviewed, showed standard practices. Formaldehyde-based fluids, nothing out of the ordinary. The soil around the grave was analyzed and found to be unremarkable, with no rare minerals or chemical anomalies that could account for the phenomenon. The coffin itself offered no clues. It was a conventional design, showing expected signs of weathering but no evidence of hermetic sealing or other preservative mechanisms. Yet there lay Joe Frazier, as if time had granted him a reprieve. As the scientific team reeled from this discovery, a second find deepened the mystery. Beneath the coffin, concealed in a custom-carved compartment in the base, was a small metal box, no larger than a bread box. Its surface was pristine, untouched by rust or corrosion despite years underground. The team hesitated, sensing the weight of the moment. With the Frazier family's approval, they carefully opened the box, revealing a collection of handwritten letters, folded with care and preserved as perfectly as the body above them. The letters were a window into Joe Frazier's soul. Written in his distinctive, slightly uneven handwriting, they were personal, raw, and profoundly moving. One was addressed to his daughter, Jackie, a former professional boxer who had followed in her father's footsteps. In it, Frazier expressed his pride in her strength, his love for her spirit, and his regret for the time he spent away from home, chasing titles and fame. "You're my champion, Jackie," he wrote. "I wish I'd told you that every day. Forgive me for the nights I wasn't there." Another letter, perhaps the most astonishing, was addressed to Muhammad Ali, Frazier's greatest rival and one of the most iconic figures in sports history. Their rivalry, defined by three legendary fights, most notably the 1971 Fight of the Century and the 1975 Thrilla in Manila, was the stuff of legend, often portrayed as a bitter clash of wills. Yet in this letter, Frazier revealed a depth of understanding and respect that few had seen in life. "They saw us as enemies, but we were part of each other's journey," he wrote. "You made me greater, and I hope I did the same for you. The ring was our stage, but the heart knows no opponent." Other letters included notes to his sons, Marvis and Hector, his late wife Florence, and a brief message to his fans, thanking them for their unwavering support. "You believed in Smokin' Joe," he wrote, "and that kept me swinging." Each letter was written with deliberate care, as if Frazier knew they would one day be read by the world. The paper was acid-free, ensuring longevity, and the ink showed no signs of fading, a small but curious detail that mirrored the preservation of his body. The discovery of the letters raised immediate questions. When had Frazier written them? Why were they hidden in a secret compartment? And how had the box remained untouched by time? The Frazier family was as stunned as the scientists. Jackie Frazier Lyde, now in her 60s, confirmed that the handwriting was her father's, but said she had no knowledge of the box or its contents. "My father was a private man," she said at a press conference, her voice thick with emotion. "He carried his burdens quietly. Maybe this was his way of leaving something behind, of speaking one last time." As news of the discovery broke, the world erupted in a frenzy of awe, skepticism, and speculation. On X, posts about the find garnered tens of millions of views, with hashtags like #SmokinJoe, #Frazier Mystery, and #Immortal Champ trending globally. Mainstream media outlets ran breathless headlines. "Joe Frazier's body defies death." "Secret letters rewrite boxing history." Social media was ablaze with theories, from the scientific to the spiritual. Some called it a miracle, pointing to Frazier's deep Christian faith as a possible explanation. Others speculated about rare genetic factors or unknown environmental conditions. A few fringe voices even suggested supernatural forces, claiming that Frazier's spirit had somehow protected his body and his words. Scientists, meanwhile, launched a multifaceted investigation. Tissue samples from Frazier's remains were sent to leading laboratories across the globe, from Johns Hopkins to the Max Planck Institute. Early results confirmed that the preservation was not due to any known embalming technique or chemical intervention. DNA analysis revealed no obvious genetic markers that could explain the phenomenon, though researchers noted that Frazier's physical resilience in life, his ability to absorb devastating punches and keep fighting, might hint at an extraordinary biological makeup. "Joe Frazier was a human anvil," said Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a geneticist on the team. "We're exploring whether his body had unique cellular properties, perhaps related to repair or preservation mechanisms we've never seen before." The burial site became a scientific pilgrimage. Geologists, microbiologists, and environmental scientists descended on the Philadelphia cemetery, testing the soil, groundwater, and air for anomalies. Initial findings were puzzling. The area around Frazier's grave had an unusually low microbial count, as if bacteria and fungi, key agents of decomposition, had been suppressed. This observation, while preliminary, fueled speculation about natural or artificial preservatives in the environment, though no evidence of such agents has been found. One researcher noted a faint electromagnetic anomaly in the soil, too weak to be conclusive but enough to spark debate about whether subtle geophysical factors could have played a role. The metal box and its letters underwent their own scrutiny. Metallurgists determined that the box was made of a high-grade stainless steel alloy, resistant to corrosion but not extraordinary for its time. The compartment in the coffin was a custom addition, likely installed at Frazier's request or by someone close to him, though no records of its construction have been found. The letters were written on archival quality paper, a deliberate choice that ensured their longevity, but the ink's pristine condition remained a mystery. Forensic document analysts estimate that the letters were written in the final years of Frazier's life, likely after his cancer diagnosis in 2011, when he may have been reflecting on his legacy. The discovery has had a profound cultural and emotional impact, particularly in the world of boxing. Joe Frazier, often overshadowed by Ali's charisma and media savvy, is being rediscovered as a figure of immense depth and humanity. The letter to Ali has prompted a re-evaluation of their rivalry, which was as much a cultural phenomenon as a sporting one. In the 1960s and 70s, Ali and Frazier were symbols of a divided America. Ali, the outspoken draft resistor and Black Power icon; Frazier, the quieter, working-class hero, often cast as the establishment's champion. Their fights were proxy battles for larger social tensions, and their personal animosity, fueled by Ali's taunts, was well documented. Yet Frazier's letter reveals a man who saw beyond the spectacle, who recognized the shared humanity in their struggle. Boxing historians have unearthed old interviews that support this narrative. In a 1996 conversation, Frazier spoke warmly of Ali, saying, "He was my brother in the ring, even if we didn't always act like it." The letter has given these moments new weight, prompting apologies from some commentators who perpetuated the narrative of unrelenting bitterness. "Joe was a man of pride, but also of grace," said boxing analyst Max Kellerman. "This letter shows he understood the bigger picture, even when the world didn't." The Frazier family has decided to preserve the letters in a museum, with plans to display them alongside artifacts from Joe's career, including his 1971 fight gloves from his victory over Ali at Madison Square Garden and the robe he wore in Manila. The discovery has inspired a wave of tributes, from documentaries to planned biopics, all aiming to capture the essence of a man who was more than just a fighter. Fans have flocked to the cemetery, leaving flowers, boxing gloves, and handwritten notes, turning the site into a shrine. A local artist painted a mural of Frazier near the cemetery, depicting him with a halo of smoke, a nod to his Smokin' Joe nickname and the mystical aura of the discovery. Beyond Philadelphia, the story has resonated globally. In Africa, where Ali was a hero, the letter has been celebrated as a testament to reconciliation. In Europe, boxing federations have launched initiatives to honor Frazier's contributions to the sport. In Asia, where Frazier fought some of his most memorable bouts, fans have organized watch parties to revisit his classic fights. The discovery has even inspired religious discussions, with some Christian leaders citing Frazier's faith as evidence of divine favor, while others warn against reading too much into a scientific anomaly. Yet the scientific mystery remains unsolved. Researchers are exploring radical theories, from natural chemical compounds in the soil that mimic embalming agents to the possibility of a genetic mutation that slowed cellular breakdown. The emerging field of epigenetics has also come into play, with some suggesting that Frazier's lifestyle, his grueling training, his high-protein diet, his mental fortitude may have altered his body's decay process. A few scientists have cautiously ventured into metaphysical territory, noting that cases of unexplained preservation, such as those of certain saints, have been documented throughout history. Dr. Matthews, the lead pathologist, remains open-minded but grounded. "We're trained to seek rational explanations," he said, "but this case challenges our assumptions. Joe Frazier was extraordinary in life, and he's proving to be extraordinary in death." The public's fascination shows no signs of fading. On X, posts about the discovery have amassed hundreds of millions of views, with users sharing everything from heartfelt tributes to wild conspiracy theories. Some claim the preservation is linked to secret government experiments, pointing to Frazier's military connections during his youth. Others suggest a connection to Philadelphia's history of mysticism, citing the city's role in early American spiritualism. One popular theory posits that the letters themselves hold a hidden message, perhaps a coded reference to a ritual Frazier performed before his death. A few fans have even suggested that the preservation is a sign that Frazier's spirit remains active, watching over his legacy. For the Frazier family, the discovery has been a bittersweet gift. the letters have brought them closer to Joe's inner world, offering closure and a deeper understanding of his heart. Jackie Frazier Lyde has spoken of her father's faith, noting that he often prayed for strength and forgiveness. "If there's something miraculous here," she said, "it's not for us to explain, it's for us to cherish." The family has asked for privacy as they navigate the global spotlight, but they've expressed gratitude for the outpouring of love from fans. Marvis Frazier, Joe's son and a former boxer, has taken a more philosophical view, saying, "My father always said he'd fight until the end. Maybe this is his way of fighting still." The discovery has also sparked broader reflections on life, death, and legacy. Philosophers and theologians have weighed in, debating whether Frazier's preservation is a scientific curiosity or a spiritual sign. Some see it as a reminder of the fragility of the body and the enduring power of the soul. Others view it as a testament to the human spirit's ability to transcend time, whether through physical preservation or the written word. Joe Frazier's story challenges us to think about what it means to leave a mark, wrote cultural critic Ta-Nehisi Coates in a widely shared essay. His body may have defied decay, but his words, his love, his forgiveness, his truth are what make him immortal. As scientists continue their work, the world waits for answers. Was Joe Frazier's preservation a freak accident of nature, a genetic marvel, or something more profound? Did he know his letters would one day be found, or was the box a private act of closure? What does this discovery mean for our understanding of mortality, resilience, and the legacies we leave behind? And could there be other secrets buried with the champions of the past, waiting to be uncovered? One thing is certain: Joe Frazier's story is far from over. In the ring, he was a warrior who never backed down, a man who faced the greatest and emerged a legend. In death, he is a mystery that refuses to be solved, a voice that speaks across time. From the hardscrabble streets of Beaufort, South Carolina, to the bright lights of Madison Square Garden, from the quiet of a Philadelphia grave to the global stage, Smokin' Joe continues to surprise, inspire, and challenge us all. His body may have defied the laws of nature, but his spirit, captured in those letters, in his fights, in his unbreakable will, has proven truly eternal.